Hi guys and girls on YouTube, and welcome to my channel. So in this video we're going to be looking at a vintage black and white TV, which I am told is quite rare. Now, in case you're looking at this and somebody's going to be looking at this telly and think, oh yeah, I've got one of them, it's not actually this telly we're going to be looking at, it's his big brother, and I'm told that's what makes it quite rare. Now this here of course is a 14-inch black and white Grundig, but we're going to be looking at the big brother, the 20-inch black and white Grundig. And if you look at the 14-inch, we've got an aerial on the top, and if you look at the 20-inch, it's also got an aerial, so it's obviously meant to be transportable. But you can see now the difference between the 14-inch and the 20-inch. So let's take a closer look at this in greater detail. Right, so I've just moved it to another bench because we've got a little bit more light over here. So let's take a closer look. It's got 8 push buttons. It says Grundig, super electronic. You've got your brightness, contrast, volume on and off. It is of course a little bit dirty this. I think what I might do is give it a quick clean up first, and then we'll spin it round and get... Right, sorry, camera went out of focus. We'll spin it round in a second when I've just cleaned it and get the back off and have a good look inside before we attempt to plug it in. But you can see the comparison, the 14-inch and that is a 20. Right, so I've only just cleaned that bit, you can see the difference there. I've left the back for now, but let's turn it round. So there's your fold away aerial at the top. Let's take a look at the model number. It is a P2022-GB-UHF-VHF. Obviously solid state. There's just 4 of these you turn. And that will take the back off. So let's get a look inside now. Right, so that's a pitch with the back off. It's quite a large board inside. Now, being a Grundig, you'd expect this to be full of dry joints, but my experience was with this early Grundig stuff is they use like a poor quality solder, and it's difficult to see a dry joint from one that's not until it actually burns up. But I'm not seeing anything here. There's some sort of modification here where the print's been cut, and if you follow them yellow wires, they go to a resistor there which looks like it might be factory. I wouldn't have thought it had had that bit on if somebody just added it. So I would imagine that's some sort of factory modification, probably because this gets very hot and they wanted to keep it off the board. So it's difficult to see any dry joints. I can't really see anything obvious. The only thing I can see is a hot spot there, which will need resoldering. That's probably a wire wiring resistor or an inductor. It appears like it might be in the line stage. But I can't really see anything that's been done to this. It all looks pretty original. Now there's a sticker there, seems to be, I don't know, seems to be glued on for some reason. I don't know why that would be there. I presume that's factory. But if we look round here, the tube is actually manufactured by Tesla. It's an A5120W. I think is the A5120W same as what the Thorn 1500 used, but I would imagine this tube's probably of dubious quality, but we won't know till we actually get it switched on. What's under there? Quality control sticker, I think. So let's undo these and then we can drop the chassis down and have a look what state it's in inside. Right, when I look at the tube, it's not Tesla, it's Telsa. Was that a Russian or a Czechoslovakian manufactured CRT? I seem to remember, I might be wrong. But let's take a look. The chassis is in pretty good condition. It's quite dirty. We've got the famous Grundig IF module there, but you can see how much dirt's on that. So I would imagine this set's probably never been touched. That appears to be the line oscillator IC. That cap there, I'd be surprised if that's any good, so that'll probably want changing before we turn it on. Down there, what's that? TBA 800, that'd be the sound output IC. Over to here, TDA 1170S frame output, and that hotspot is actually coming from that resistor there, so right next to that capacitor. I'd be surprised if that hasn't dried out as well. Now, I'm not sure what part of the circuitry that's in, whether it's in the frame output or it might even be in the line scan stage or a secondary rail. I'm going to have a look and see if we can get a circuit diagram, but that has got very, very hot. R474 is it? But apart from that, I'm not really seeing anything immediately obvious that jumps out, apart from changing that cap and seeing what the resistor's connected to. It might be that it just runs warm. It might not be an indication of a fault. But yeah, it all seems like it's not. That'll want a good clean round there before we turn it on. It all seems like it's not had anything at all done to this set, so it might work, it might not work. If you remember in the colour sets, these IF modules were very troublesome. They used to cause a load of different problems, and they were generally dry joints and dried out capacitors in the colour sets that used to go in them. But I think what we'll do is we'll just stop the camera for a bit while I see if I can pull up some sort of a diagram from somewhere. Right, well the bad news is I can't just see a circuit diagram on the internet. I'm going to have a look in the radio and TV servicing books when I get home. So for now we're just going to play this by ear. So it comes from this diode here, which is this end's connected to the line output transformer in the orientation that this will provide a negative voltage here. The diode's in reverse, we'll have a negative voltage. So the negative voltage, it flows through there, through that resistor, then it's decoupled from there to earth, then it goes onto that resistor there, comes out of here, and it goes to that capacitor there, which is quite a large value. That now the other end of that capacitor is connected to this neon lamp, which seems to be a strange arrangement, but if we follow the negative end of that, it goes round there and it comes out a pin on this connector here, which if you follow that round, it actually goes onto the front control. So I'm wondering if this is something to do with the brightness control. It's definitely connected to them knobs on the front. So I think what we'll do is we'll just reform the main cap there. We'll change that capacitor there because it's in such a close proximity. I would imagine it's dried up. That one there looks as manky as hell, so we'll change that, and then I think we'll just go for the switch on and just see what happens. And because obviously I'm at work now, I'll have to wait till I get home to look for a circuit diagram in the radio and TV servicing books, but let's just play it by ear for now and see what happens. Right, well, surprisingly the orange cap is alright. 22 mic, it's within specification. The brown one, that's measuring about 10 mic. Now I'm not sure what these numbers mean on top. It says 7140 on top. It doesn't seem to have a value, but if you look at the orange one, that's clearly marked with polarity electrolytic. If you look at the brown one, it doesn't have a polarity, so I wonder if that's some sort of special bipolar cap. But anyway, it measures 10 mic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put these two caps back in. Right, so the cap's reformed. I just need to clean round this. I mean, look at the state of that. It should be white, and if you look at that, look at my fingers. So that is going to need definitely cleaning, and also around there before we turn this on. Yeah, sure as dirt. If you can look there where I've wiped it, you can actually see the glass underneath it. Right, so if you look at that, that's a million times better. Now I would have preferred to have a service manual, just so I can see exactly what that resistor does and why it might have got hot. But as I'm at work and I don't have the radio, TV and servicing books here, they're at home, I think what I'm going to do is just plug it in, switch it on, see what happens. That's really about all I can do. So let's go and get a connector, because there's no plug on it. Right, so we're using the good old radio spares safe block. There we go. Power down here. Right, so it's on there. I'm going to switch it on this front here. 3. Hang on, let's get the brightness up, contrast up, make sure the volume's down. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Right, camera went out of focus. Let's try again. 3, 2, 1. Right, I didn't hear a rustle of EHT, but the tube's actually lit. So, oh yes, here we go. We got the raster coming up, look. Now, it doesn't actually look very bright at all, the raster. So what I'm going to do is, and it looks a bit out of focus, I thought that tube might be of dubious quality. I mean, it might be still waking up. I think we're going to have to move it to another bench and get a signal on. But let's just have a quick look around the back. And I don't know if you can see that, but the neon I pointed out, which is connected to that green capacitor, is actually lit up. So I've turned the set off. That's the neon out. Turn it on. That's the neon lit up. So it's strange what that's there for. This is why I really need a circuit diagram. But at least it's come on. Let's move it to another bench, get it connected to a skybox, see if it'll tune anything in. Right, so now we've got it on, tuned in, I can actually see two issues with it. The focusing is actually very, very poor, and it gets worse when you turn up the contrast. See, turn the contrast down, see how sharp it's gone, but when you turn it up it's very, very blurry. Now that usually indicates that the CRT is worn. Now there is an adjustment for the focusing. I'm going to try that anyway, but it could be that this tube's a bit worn. But another little thing is, and you probably can't see it on the camera, there's a very slight hum bar moving up, which probably means the mains reservoir capacitor's fallen in value. But having said that, it is on. That's the brightness. plenty of brightness. The tube seems to have woke up now. It was very dull when we first turned it on, but now it's been running for a few minutes. But I will just try that focus adjustment first. In fact, it looks better on the camera than what I'm actually looking at on the front of the telly. So let's just try the focus adjustment. Right, so that would appear to be the focus adjustment there, and it's right at one end. So we could have a high value resistor. I don't really feel very comfortable putting my finger on that because it's very close to these two connections. I'm just going to try moving it with a screwdriver. Right, well actually that focusing adjustment's made a vast difference. It still defocuses on high contrast, but on medium contrast, medium brightness, that is quite watchable. And if you look at this in the top, it's actually readable now. So although the tube takes a long time to come up to full temperature, full brightness, it looks like it's just slow warming up. But let's get a picture on it now and see what it's like. Yeah, there we go. That's quite watchable now. The longer you leave it, the more the emission improves on the CRT. It's very readable at the bottom. Now this black line here, that's coming from the camera. I'm not actually seeing that. Let's just try a different channel. Can you see the hum bar there moving down now? There it is coming down now. You just see it near the bottom there. So we do have a slight issue with a dried out probably mains reservoir capacitor, but apart from that, this isn't too bad a set. Right, I've just put it on the grayscale so you can see. If you look at that there, that's the hum bar travelling up. It's far easier to see it now. There it comes up. So there we go, another very nice TV to add to my collection. Now I have got sound, I just turned it down so we don't have a copyright strike, but
Argentina, thousands of people gathered to pay their...
You can see we do have sound. So there we go, another nice addition to my collection. That is the 20-inch black and white Grundig TV. In switching off this telly, because I'm going to close this video in a minute, I think I've realised now what that resistor is for. The resistor that was burnt, or whatever circuitry it's connected to, I think it's for switch off spot suppression. And I'll tell you the reason why. Let's turn the set off and have a look what happens. So here we go, that's off. So the telly is now off. The camera's gone out of focus. Look at that. We've got a dot in the middle. Now that should not be there. That should be blanked out so we don't burn the screen. So I think that's the answer. Let's just turn it on again. That will disappear. So there is a couple of slight issues with this telly for which we will need to get the service manual or a circuit diagram. But anyway, for now, let's just see that spot again and then we'll close the video. and there it's just appeared. So that is one job that definitely needs doing, otherwise you could burn the phosphor on the front of the screen and we could end up with a burn mark. But there you go. Alright guys and girls on YouTube, many thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you in the next one then. Goodbye.